hard to believe it's been 11 years since Turok made his foggy video game debut in Turok Dinosaur Hunter for the N64. When Acclaim died, the franchise seemingly died with it, but it's been resurrected by Touchstone for the 360 and PlayStation 3. Did this fossilized hunter learn some new tricks?
Hey, Turok, maybe you'll grow some balls while you're here.
About the only thing this Turok has in common with prior games is that the lead character is Native American and there are dinosaurs to kill. Other than that, it's a brand new setting, new lead character, and new storyline. You play as Joseph Turok, an ex-member of Wolfpack, an ultra-elite killing machine and a splinter of the military. The clan's leader, Kane, became incensed with power and began developing biological weapons for cash, causing Turok to defect from his mentor's camp. Yet another elite commando team, Whiskey Company, is charged with traveling to a far-flung planet and bringing Kane to justice. But its ship is shot down en route, scattering the team and leaving everyone to fend for themselves against bloodthirsty dinos and Kane's foot soldiers. Much of the story is told through flashbacks of Turok's prior life with Wolfpack, and the game presents interesting quandaries between loyalty and doing what's right.
You're no friend. You're a goddamn traitor. If I was a traitor, you'd already be dead.
Yet the player never has any choice in how it plays out. Even so, the story will keep you engaged until dinosaurs are extinct once again.
I've been blasting lizards all morning, but now I can barbecue.
Despite a few branching trails, the single-player campaign is completely linear. It's practically impossible to get lost, as squad mates continually press you down the right path, and if all else fails, you can click the left analog stick and a waypoint will be displayed. The single-player game is broken into 13 primary chapters, with each taking 30 to 45 minutes to complete. Within each chapter is a multitude of autosave points, keeping you from having to replay too much of the campaign. You'll get a good 8 hours out of your first run-through, and then there are more challenging difficulty settings to conquer if you're into that sort of thing. Aside from the single-player quest, there's an intense multiplayer suite to dive into. While you can play the single-player option with friends, there are completely new missions to experience cooperatively with up to 4 players. The competitive options come in the typical deathmatch and capture the flag varieties, with the exception of war games, which switches things up a bit with some Counter-Strike-esque objectives. The tweaking options in multiplayer are pretty intense, though not to Halo 3 or Call of Duty 4 levels. Still, the X factor of dinosaurs definitely gives each match a unique twist. While the single-player campaign isn't especially long, the head-to-head and co-op modes provide more than enough content to rationalize Turok's price tag. Extreme weapons have always been a hallmark of the Turok series, but here, things are pretty tame. You get the standard issue assault rifle, shotgun, sniper rifle, rocket launcher, railgun, grenades, and pulse gun, with each weapon having an alternate firing method. The most interesting being the minigun's ability to turn into a turret. For a series that built its name on armaments like the cerebral bore, the weapons here are a bit disappointing. Turok can hold up to 4 at once, and they're easily selected using the D-pad. One weapon that certainly eclipses its purpose in most other games is the knife. In fact, the knife in Turok is the most effective weapon of the bunch. It's the ultimate dinosaur killer thanks to the ability to pull off instant kills simply by squeezing the right trigger when the icon comes on screen. It's not out of the ordinary to kill 6 or 7 raptors in a row without taking a scratch. It can make some sections of the game a little too easy, but it's undeniably fun. Though the cerebral bore is MIA, one classic Turok weapon that does make an appearance is the bow. While there are traditional sniper rifles in the game, the bow will ultimately become your long-range weapon of choice, as like the knife, it's always a part of the arsenal. Considering it takes 1 arrow to take down most enemies, it's not a bad option. You can even swap out arrow types for an explosive surprise. One interesting element to the gameplay is tagging enemies using the shotgun's alternate fire. Once they're tagged, the dinos will attack, and there's a nice strategic balance to find between letting either the dinos or soldiers live. The rest of the game plays like your typical first-person shooter. While you have varying numbers of squad mates along for the ride, they're generally ineffective at anything but sucking up bullets. The enemies aren't the smartest either, often repeating the same animation over and over instead of intelligently navigating the terrain. We also had issues with the default look sensitivity and discovered some dinosaurs that were completely oblivious to Turok's presence. But all these issues are minor in the grand scheme of the game. Playing Turok is fun, there's not a lot of thinking involved, and the enemies undoubtedly become repetitive, but the combat is immensely satisfying, hunting and killing dinosaurs never gets old, the game's pacing is near perfect, and the few boss fights that take place are incredible. Turok runs on the Unreal 3 engine, and it's definitely the best use of the tech outside of Epic's own efforts. The dinosaurs, in particular, look amazing. The sheen on their reptilian skin shows off each muscle and bone, and the animation is so convincing that it makes you wonder if the developers discovered a time machine to find out how these carnivores really move. While the game is very careful in how much it displays at once, occasionally you'll get a reprieve from the claustrophobic jungle and step onto a bluff where you can see a brontosaurus roaming free in the valley. It's breathtaking. The foliage is used for more than just cover, as it will shake when enemies move through it, tipping you off to their location. The audio is just as strong with some amazing 5.1 that's perfectly mixed, and rousing orchestral scores that kick in at all the right times. The voice acting is up and down, but none of it is poor enough to become jarring.
Hey, who's he?
Somebody get a bucket and mop. We got a new cleaner on board.
Turok is undoubtedly the first pleasant surprise of 2008. It doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, but working within its accepted elements, it does a great job of dumping you in the jungle and making you feel like you're fighting for your life. The single-player quest is a bit on the short side, and the multiplayer is somewhat derivative, but it's a nice return to form for a franchise that many had written off as extinct.